Good evening, and welcome to a new clock episode. Okay, we're going to go back over these kits. It seems that we're having some problems with people trying to understand how to use them, and they're not quite sure exactly the procedures. So I'm going to stand here and hold the camera and see if we can go through this a little bit. So first of all, in the kits, you'll get 4 of these, we call them oil extractors. And you get 4 of these little blue oil extractors. Sometimes they're green. And they work real well for when you've put too much oil or excess oil into the pivots and you need to take a little bit of it back out. So you just touch that little tip on the pivot and that will actually suck out that oil. And these are reusable. You just use some alcohol and rinse them out a little bit in a little glass of alcohol, rubbing alcohol. And not the other kind. Okay, then we have 4 cleaning sticks. They have a high impact cotton wrap, and they're used for cleaning out the grease and the sludge that's in your pivots. Then you get the clock oil, and you get more clock oil than you'll use in 20 years. But right now, that's just how we do it. It's a ½ ounce. It'd be nice if we cut that down a little bit, save a little more money, but right now that's how we do it. So then you get specially designed oiling sticks, and this is this big one here with the silver and the round nose top here. That's used for grease. And then the smaller one you'll see right here is got a little triangle, and that is used to dip into your oil. You dip into this little bottle. What you do is you pour a little bit of this oil into your container here, and I've already poured one into this one. And you maybe a quarter of the way full. You don't want to waste your oil, but we don't want to put this oil back in the bottle. And we have a cap for it, so you could cap it and use it for another clock or 2 or whatever you have. But we don't want you putting it back in the bottle because it's considered contaminated oil. And I'm real picky about that. I don't want little specks of black grease or anything else getting it back in that oil. So keep that in mind. And the grease, I'll show you the grease here just in a minute. To offer another bottle, which is this one right here. And this was escape oil. And we used to include that in the kits. We don't do it anymore. We haven't for over a year. The escape oil is exactly the same oil as the pivot oil. The only difference is that it had a red dye in it, and we thought that by adding the red dye it would make it a lot easier to see the escape wheel feet, so that you don't put too much oil on there and draw that oil up onto the escape wheel. But it didn't work, and you couldn't see the any difference when you applied it. So we've just converted to going back to every 3rd foot on the escape wheel, or every 3rd tooth on the some of the escape wheels have like a little foot look. Some just have a point or pointed gear. But the escape wheel, which I've showed you a dozen times in several videos, is kind of a tough one to do, and we've reverted back to just every 3rd tooth to oil that. That really reduces the amount of oil on there, and believe me, every 3rd tooth is fine. That oil will work its way all the way around to every tooth. And in fact, some of these factories, I'm not even sure they even oiled those escape wheels, but we always did, and we still do. So anyway, that is, and we'll grab that. That is gone. This is what you get in the kit. So now let's move on just a little bit. Some people are having a little more identity problem with what the pivots are and how to oil those. So we're going to show you. I stripped this clock down. Now this is a 351-021 Hermel clock, and I stripped it down so you could just see the working pivots. And there's a pivot right here, right here. There's one here, here, one right here, and then down here there would be your barrel or your great wheel that would have your chain on it, or it would be a mainspring. If it's a grandfather clock, then this would be a chain, and if it's a mantle clock or a wall clock, then this would be a barrel with a mainspring inside of it. But we've removed the barrels out of this. You can see this one here has got some damage. You can see where somebody tried to punch a hole and correct the pivot here, that it was too loose, and they were trying to tighten it up, and they ruined that gear. So we have to replace the gear. That's why this clock's in here, by the way. So anyway, all the gears pivots look the same. You'll see little pivots, and all those pivots are where you put the oil. And it's really straightforward. It's well, it is straightforward, but it is a little complex, a little complicated. If you've never done it before, it's a little nervy. But so now let me go back here to the oil, and there is your there is your oiler right there. You see how it's pointed, and it looks kind of like a little diamond. These you have to dip these into the oil. There aren't squeeze oilers or push oilers. These are just little dippers. And they are manufactured by us, and these are very stout. They were designed and custom made for clocks. You've seen many of them on probably eBay and stuff where they're watch oilers, and those really don't work well for clock oiling. They don't deliver the right amount of oil. So stick with this. This works far better. You dip it in. You see where I dipped that? Now you can't hardly see it, but there is oil on that triangle, the pointer. Now you take that over here, and you just touch it. There you go. The oil's in. I'll do one more. Don't even have to reload this. You just touch it, and the oil's in there. So if you get too much oil, you can use a retractor here, this little oil extractor. Pull out the excess oil, because you don't want too much oil in these. If you have too much oil in there, what it does is it drips out of there by capillary attraction, and it will run down your plate all the way down, and that's not a good idea. That collects dust and dirt and anything else that happens to be in the air. So we don't want to do that. So let's get back out of there. This is just a general idea, so you can see how it is. You can go to a number of our videos, and this explains this over and over and over for you, so you know what's going on. And we also provide email, rsjgold@gmail.com, and that is for if you have technical problems or you're not quite sure what's going on, give me an email. I try to get back within 30 or 40 minutes, up to an hour and a half, 2 hours. Can't get to all of them right away, but I get there as fast as I can. So anyway, that kind of concludes that part. Now, stand by here, and I'll set up the next section. Okay, the next tool in the kit is this fellow right here. You see the little flat scooper on that? And it's nice and long, so you can get to any part that needs grease. So the grease that you see is right here. This is special grease. It is not lithium grease. Don't use lithium. It runs. It's not safe on your clock. This is what I call RHJ Gold sticky grease. And you can see just how it grabs. See how that just grabs right onto the part? Well, this doesn't turn runny. It stays pretty much exactly how you see it now. And that is a grease that you can put on your cams and on your hammers, your strike hammers and your chime hammers. And that's how you grease these. So let's go over here. And okay, what we have here is the hammer set. Now this has been removed off this particular clock. As you can see, it sets right in that little area right there. But we took it off because we were working on this, and it makes it nice to see. So you can see this back portion right here. Let me get this out of the way. You can see this back portion right here. Okay, this is where you would put your grease. You put it right here. Right there. Right there. And this is all you need on there. Just you can see where I'm putting it on. Alright. And that keeps this bar from sticking when these hammers are going up and down. See, they move. As you can see that. See how those come out? And you go down, and you can see I put the grease on there. And I did it. So you get enough grease right here to probably do 200 clocks. And we don't fill the lids clear full, but you get plenty of grease, and it is a specially designed grease. And let me tell you what, it's very expensive, so don't let it get contaminated. And keep your little lid on it so that it stays fresh all the time, and it'll last you years. So now, while we're talking about this, once again we can come back with this little oiler right here, and you could put a little bit of oil right in here. A little dab. If you see the oil, you put too much. Put it right in there. Right in there. And then grease. Oops. And then right here, this would be mounted like this, so it's harder to see it. See what I'm saying? This would be inside, and there'd be another gear right here. And what you want to do is take a little bit of grease and just put a little grease right there. See how I did that? And you put it on each one of these all the way down. And that will grease the barrel, the strike barrel, and the teeth on the barrel, so it keeps them from wearing out. So that is your hammer mechanism. And this hammer, now all the hammers are quite a bit different on different clocks, but they're basically the same. They have a foot back here, and they have the hammer pads where you want to put your grease. And if you watch and look at your jewelry, I dropped that. If you want to look at some of our videos, you'll see where we show you how to put that on there and on the cams. So I hope this kind of tells you this is what the kit consists of. And you get the grease, you get the oil containers, you get the cleaners, the swabs, you get the oil, and these are all come in protection too. So anyway, I hope this kind of helps clear up the problems, especially with the escapement oil. We still sell it for some people who just really would like to have it. But and that would be clockmakers, probably. We probably sell a dozen or two every year, maybe 3 dozen. But I think we only got about 10 or 15 dozen left. So if you want those, you can go on our website, mybenchjeweler.com, and certainly buy it. But I don't. Why? You don't really need it. The pivot oil works just fine. So all of these are specialized, and they're designed to work on all clocks, even outdoor clocks. And the grease is so special that it's actually, I'll tell you the truth, it's $2,200 a barrel, and that's 30 gallon barrel. So it's real expensive, and use it sparingly, and we use it sparingly too. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little episode on the clock making. We're going to be finishing this clock up and going on to some mantle clocks. I have 4 of them, and we're going to do a series on those. And I hope you'll stick around and watch those series as well. This kit is available on mybenchjeweler.com, and I'll put it in the listing there on the YouTube channel. So if you have any questions, give us a call. Thanks a lot for watching, and you have a nice evening.